Hi guys, it's Becky, and I am finally going to be making with our bargain bead box for November. This is the one with all the mookaite and the yellow that I find challenging, but I'm going to be doing some recording anyway with it. And this is, again, it's going to be a challenge, but I mentioned when I was doing this that I wanted to make a necklace or some jewelry for my sister with this because she looks amazing in yellow and I think it would look great on her. So I'm going to make a necklace. But the challenging thing for me, and it's not that much of a challenge because I do like to design for the people that are going to be wearing it, but it's just going to be making sure that we don't have any metals that will be laying against her skin, because my sister has a metal sensitivity, allergy, something like that. She just can't wear things that are going to be next to her skin that have, I mean, most metals are not, that they make jewelry things in, are not okay for her. She can have like 100% copper or sterling silver or something like that, but the components that came in this box are not that. So I'm going to have a focal up front that's going to be kind of asymmetrical with a closure up front, so all of the metals for this box can be below the t-shirt line, and everything else that goes behind her neck and is up against her collarbone is going to be just beads. So that her skin will be protected from these things that may aggravate it, but she can still wear something pretty. And she can just, you know, as long as she's not wearing like a V-neck shirt or something, she can wear it and it'll look gorgeous on her. So I'm going to be using, for that, one of these wire frames, the chrysanthemum ones. I've got a couple of oval jump rings for attaching things, the magnetic clasp that came in that box. And another thing that, you know, when you're being mindful about who you're creating for, another great thing about using a magnetic clasp is that that can make it easy to take on and off for somebody who has like mobility issues or, you know, arthritis or something where you can't do like, or fine motor control. It just makes it easier to take your jewelry on and off if you have magnetic clasps for that. We'll say, however, if you've got a pacemaker, then magnetic clasps are probably not for you. My sister doesn't have any limitations like that. It's just the metal allergy, but it's something to keep in mind. And putting a clasp in front also makes it sometimes a little bit easier for folks who might have mobility issues, like if you don't have the use of one of your arms or you can't lift them over your head. It just makes it easier to take it on and off. But anyway, so I'm going to be using this and our beautiful pendant that we got. I'm going to be putting these together sort of this way, and then I'm going to be stringing the rest of it on some soft flex string wire. I'm using the medium beading wire in the garnet color because it is almost exactly the same color as these beads. And it's not like it's going to be showing a lot, but parts of it will show where it's connected to these pieces. So, you know, it's nice having something that kind of goes with it. And to crimp them on, I'm using the 2x2 crimp tubes. They're the soft flex ones. And these are made with a metal material that does not aggravate my sister's allergies or sensitivities. So they can actually be worn next to the skin. Even though these won't be next to the skin because they'll be in the same part of the necklace that is going to be below the shirt line for that. So for tools, I am going to be using magical crimper when it's time to crimp the things, and I will be using a flesh cutter and possibly my chain nose pliers. Well, to open and close jump rings, I'm definitely going to be using these. So those are going to be the tools that I'm using. I've already cut about a 34-inch length of wire. And the reason I pre-cut it is just because I felt like it. I was getting stuff ready to go. And I was like, I just want to make sure that it's going to definitely be long enough, because length is the key to making sure that this will sit below that t-shirt line, is having the rest of it be long enough for that. So I got that. I'm probably, since I cut it off the spool already, I'm probably going to need to use some bead stoppers. So let me just grab a couple of those out for while I'm stringing, because it is going to be mostly stringing on this. But I wanted to do something fun and special with this component. And so I am going to be wire wrapping some beads onto it. And for wire wrapping, I'm going to be using some 26 gauge craft wire. And I just went ahead and cut off, I don't know, maybe 36 inches, something like that. It's a decent amount of wire, so that I can do my wire wrapping on that. And so I'm gonna go ahead and grab out some of these rondelles. And some of these yellow beads over here for my chrysanthemum center piece. I'm going to set these guys up here for now. I'm going to move this out of the way so we can concentrate just on this one part. And then when I'm done making this part, then we'll start stringing for the rest of the necklace. All right, so I'm just straightening this out with my fingers. This is my 26 gauge wire. And I'm just going to grab a little bit of it. I'm going to pinch this end. Actually, I'm going to pinch this up here because I'm going to wrap the shorter end around one of these wires. This is going to be difficult to do on camera, I can already tell. I'm just wrapping it around a couple of times. Okay. Scooching this down below where the wires meet, so it's not blatantly out there and obvious. Now I'm going to wire wrap one of these rondelles onto it. That's going to be sitting right there. I'm going to go between. Taking my other end and putting it around into there. Okay. Now that it's coming out of here, I'm going to grab another rondelle. Right there. I'm going to have the wire come through this top part here. I'm going to add another rondelle. I'm just going to keep going all the way around. Adding one of these to each of these petals. Oop, I got a kink. I'm gonna flatten that kink out, or open it up, I should say, before it develops into a proper kink. I'm just going to keep going around and through. Each of these wires. Hold on. Oh, I got a kink. That's fine. I'll be very, very careful with this then. Or I can start again. I'm going to keep adding a rondelle all the way around here. And when I get back to this last one, I'm going to step up and add some beads to the center part of this. So I will meet you back here after I've added all these other beads. All right, so here I am. Here's my last little petal to stick a rondelle onto. I'm going to pop this guy in here, right into that little groove. And then I'm going to take my wire. I'm going to put it all the way through to the back, through there. Pull it. Make sure not to kink it. So I want to make sure, make sure we're not kinking it. Make sure it's not going between some of these other ones. There we go. All right, and these are just jam-packed on there, just like the petals on a chrysanthemum. So now that that is underneath this wire here, I'm going to pop it back up all the way through to the top of this. Like that. I could probably go ahead and cut this now. I'm going to cut it a little bit away from here so that I can tuck it in and the end won't be poking out. See how the end is poking out there? I can use my chain nose pliers and I'm going to tuck that end up inside of this piece so that it doesn't scratch anybody. All right, now I'm ready to start wire wrapping some of these round stones. So I'm just going to go down here and I'm going to start with this one. I'm going to grab some of these. I can't remember which ones these were. They are this bright, bright yellow. I can't remember if they're glass or gemstone. They seem gemstone-y. I'll have to go look at the list and see what they were. So I'm going to stick that one in there. This one's going to be a little more difficult, I think, to wrap because I'm not going to have the room that I did with the others. So I'm just going to slide it up above and go under like this and then kind of direct it with my fingers while it's going through. See, I want it to go under, between, and around there. There we go. Yes, that will work. All right, let me do one more on camera. Make sure that you can see what I'm doing. This is going to be right there. So I'm taking the other end. I'm just coming at it from above and going through. And this is a little bit awkward. I have to use some pliers to grasp it. There we go. So now that I have it with the pliers, I'm just going to be directing it with my finger and trying not to get my wire caught on things, and also trying not to make any kinks with it. Go. The second one. I'm going to do the exact same thing for the next 3 of these beads. Like, you can tuck this wire down if you want to, so it's not as visible. I don't think it matters though, as long as you've got these beads, because the beads are going to catch all of your attention. All right. Actually, let's go ahead and just do it while I'm on camera. Okay. Same thing. I'm going to come up from behind and go through. I'm going to straighten this out a little bit, smooth it out. Boom. And one more, or sorry, 2 more. This one's going to be the most tricky, I think. Not really. Okay. All right, one more. All right, so I'm going to actually, instead of wrapping it around through here, I'm going to poke it all the way through. This side. All the way down to the back. And where do I wrap it off on. Maybe over here in the middle. All right. Gonna make a little bit of a curve on this end. There we go. And curving it just makes it easier for it to go under the wire and pop out the other side so I can grasp it. I'm going to do this twice because I don't feel like doing it more than that. just so you know. I'm going to have to redo my curve again. Where am I coming out of? Over there? Okay, one more. All right, I got you. Cut it right there. Just like with the other end, I'm going to tuck that pokey outy bit into the work. I'm just going to use this with it closed to kind of tuck it, because it's a little small area. And my other pliers aren't fitting. Okay. All right, so that is the completed wire wrap. That is finished. So I did cut off like way more of this than I needed. That's fine. You'll probably be fine with like 24 inches maybe. You never know. All right, so this is going to be right here in the middle. And I'm going to use a jump ring to attach this pendant right here. Jump rings are attached to my magnetic clasp. And these oval jump rings are great because the things that it's attached to will settle into these corners, and they won't settle into where it splits. They're just a little bit more secure than round jump rings for longevity and holding things into place. You always open the jump ring by twisting it side to side, not opening and closing it, because that way it slides right back together to where it should be. All right. Now, I've got my major focal. I'm going to set this aside for when we finish it, and I am going to start stringing. Now, the way I want this to work, by the way, is that I'm going to have my clasp over here, and my wire will be attached to the clasp. It'll go around the back of the neck, and the other end will be attached directly here to the focal. So all the metals, all of the connectors, all of those things will be lower, below the neckline. So let's figure out what bead pattern we want to use for this. Get a bead stopper, one end. Because another thing that I want to make sure I do is not include any metals in the strung portion, because we don't want to have anything that's going to rub against the skin and cause irritation when it's being worn. So let's pull out some of our burgundy beads. Let's pull out some of these because they are going to necessarily, I'm going to want them to be part of the necklace because it will match what's going on with here. And then we've got our mookaite beads. And we've got our 8mm rounds that are mookaite. And then we've got some of these matte mookaite beads. Some of these out. I'm just separating them sort of by color-ish. So I can try and make it balanced a little bit. All right, so we've got an extra over there. We've got those, and we've got these, and we've got those. And I actually remembered that, I don't know if it was last year or the year before that, there was another bargain bead box where it was mookaite focused. And this was before I started putting them into my organizers, so I never actually made anything with that box. In fact, like most of the things that came in that box, I went and grabbed them. They're still in their bags. So like I haven't done anything. They're still on their strands. So I have some smaller, like 4mm shiny rounds that we could probably add to this if we need to stretch things out a little bit. Probably not going to have to stretch things out too much, but I've also got some chunkers that might work well with these. In fact, I'm just going to go ahead and open this up and toss this into the mix. And there was this was the color of rondelle that was there before. And you know what, guys? When I was making the bracelet, I kept looking at it and asking myself what it reminded me of. I was like, why does that look so familiar? Those colors, the burgundy and the gold. And it hit me, guys. They're sundial colors. I grew up in Tempe in Arizona, and so like I'm sorry, but they're sun devil colors. And like I just realized it like the other day. I was like, oh man. So I'm probably gonna make a little sun devil bracelet next week, maybe. We'll see. But yeah, I've got some of these larger ones. It looks like these are 10mm. So we can toss those in to the mix. So we've got some larger ones, some semi-larger ones, and some smaller ones, and we can intermix them with all these other ones. And then I have this gorgeous purple color that was not. I went and grabbed that whole box. I was like, you know what? You know what else there was? Look at these. These are great. I'm gonna stick this in with the rest of my box so that I can like make more things with it. But yeah, so that's what I was thinking of. So let's plan this out. Let's do a couple. You know what? I need another bead on the opposite side to kind of balance this one, because this is going to be sitting here on this side like this. Why don't I start with one of these beads over here on this side, and then from there I can kind of just have something. I mean, it's necessarily a little bit asymmetrical, but it's not going to be completely asymmetrical. All right, so yeah, that's going to be on that side. So we'll start with that one, and then I will stick this little yellow guy in between that and a large one. And then another yellow. No. Let's do a whole thing. Because I don't have that many of these. Actually, maybe it's entirely possible that I might just use the mookaite. Hold on. Get these guys out of the way. Maybe just graduated mookaite heavy in front, narrow in the back. I might be grabbing this for that. Might be saving the matte ones for a different project and grabbing this one out of the past box. You know what? I'm really feeling this. I am really feeling this. into it. I don't need to add these beads into it because these colors exist already in the mookaite. Perfect. Perfect. You know what I'm going to do? I am going to pull these beads off of here. Just in the order that they're on. I'm just going to cut one end. I'm not going to spill them out. And I'm going to string them up along the back of the neck with these because they're shinier. So like the texture will go with this better a little bit more. And then we'll get it strung onto the other side, and then we can make sure it's going to be the right length. And I can start attaching it to my focal. So let me get this strung directly off of here and onto this, because I'm just going to go in the order that it's here on the strand. Yeah, I'm going to save the matte mookaite for a different project because this just bigger, middle, and then smaller, and this will go around the back of the neck. So it won't feel as chunky on the neck. You know what I mean? So that is the idea. All right, let me get these strung on, and I will meet you back here after I get these transferred from here onto here. Okay, so I've got all, well, except for a couple that were kind of misshapen, all of the beads from that one strand strung onto my beading wire. And because I want it to be a longer necklace, I am necessarily using a whole bunch of beads. And I believe that this is now going to definitely be long enough so that the front focal will hang below the shirt line. And the metal bits won't cause my sister irritation and pain. Because, you know, I want her to actually wear it and not have her just like set it on a shelf somewhere. So we've got all of those beads from the previous bargain bead box, not the beads from the current bead box, although these would probably have worked just as well back there. But I'm going to be saving those for a different project. I moved them out of the way. And now I've got the rest of these beads, the medium-sized ones. I just moved them out of the way while I was stringing. I'll kind of line them up against the edge of my bead mat here. I'm just going to pop these guys on here, and then we will get it all connected. And we will see how easy it is to take on and off. We'll see if it is hanging where I want it to hang. And that will be a necklace made for my sister, who I love so, so much, and I'm going to be seeing next week. So I can bring this to her. I can also bring her the things that I've been making for my mom, because my mom will be at her house in a couple of weeks, and I'll be at her house for Christmas. So hold on, is that... Yes, that is the same amount of that size of beads. So let's get these others on here. All right. There we go. Just gonna move this down a little bit more because I actually, you know what? I'll do it when I go to attach to things. All right, so for attaching, actually, no, let's do it now. There we go. Because I need the extra room, the wiggle room for when I attach, when I do my crimping. So I'm just kind of shifting these so that they're about even and all the way through. That's gonna work. I love this all together. Love it even more with this. It is a nice long necklace. And you know, if you've been on this channel a while, you know I don't usually do long necklaces. I like them shorter, but that's one of the great things about being able to do handmade necklaces and handmade jewelry is you can make it with somebody else in mind. You can make it for them instead of like for yourself or for, all right. I want this one actually on this side. All right, so let me get, no, this one's going to have this on it. Where did I put my crimp beads? Found them in my crimping tool. So I'm going to put one end of my magnetic clasp on this end because this is the end that I want the magnetic clasp on, because that side I had added an extra bead kind of to balance out both sides. So this is about a little bit smaller, but still it'll give me more of a balance for both of those sides. So let's get this crimped on here by sliding a crimp bead onto my beading wire, putting the beading wire through here. And this is the medium beading wire. It's pretty heavy duty, so I don't usually use a wire guardian with it. And another reason not to use a wire guardian for this necklace is because that's just an extra piece of metal that if it was rubbing against my sister's skin would irritate it and make things awful for her. And I am not making a necklace in order for things to be awful for my sister. It's just, that's not what I'm about today. It's not what I'm about. All right, so I've got my crimp bead in place, and I'll be sliding these beads back up here after I finish crimping before I do the other side. I'm using my magical crimper because I like the way it makes a nice round bead. And this has some pointy edges, you can see, after you do the first crimp. So if you rotate it to the side, press down, rotate it again, press down, just keep rotating it, pressing down, and try to avoid the magnetic clasps attaching itself to the crimpers, because it will absolutely do that if you let it. It rounds it out so you don't have any pokey edges, because I am not about the pokey edges. All right, come on, buddy. Let's just have you slide through here. I'm just gonna cut off my excess because I think 3 beads is enough for that to have my extra bit on there. Now, the other side, slide this down. Making sure that that is slid down. Not completely though, because I am going to want there to be some movement. So I'm just going to coil this to make it make sure that it's not. Also because it looks really great. All right. So if I want this to hang this way, then this side is going to be attached right here. This corner will be attached with a jump ring to the magnetic clasp, and this end right here on the opposite side of this is going to be where I attach my crimp and my other wire. Okay, so I've got my crimp tube on here. I want it to be able to hang correctly. If that is the middle one, these two will be the Y connectors for this. So I'm going to go through here, back it up. I'm going to put it through a couple of these beads. And I have this coiled so it'll be still loose. All right. So now that that is right up against there. Oh, don't use these, Becky. I almost made a big mistake. Wrong tool. These are the ones I want. Oh boy. Phew. You guys ever do that? You just like grab the wrong tool and just, yeah, that's not a good idea, Bex. I'm gonna do the same kind of crimping where I rotate it around so that I get at it from all sorts of different angles and smooth out the rough edges. And now I'm going to attach the other end of the magnetic clasp there. Pull this jump ring out of there for that. Oh boy. Phew. All right, let's get this attached and then this necklace will be made. All right. Got it open. And I'm attaching this here to this, and this is going to be the tricky part because this is going to want to swing around all over the place and attach itself in different directions to all of my tools, to the wire frame, to the jump ring. So we are just going to whoop, close that up. There we go. Closed up. And boom. I am almost done. Now I'm going to use my wire cutters because boy, that is what that is for. Let's zoom back. Take a look at the whole thing. So there we have it. This is my cozy chrysanthemum necklace that I made for my sister with the mookaite, with the chrysanthemum connector piece, with this to make it easy to get on and off, and with this gorgeous, gorgeous pendant that came in the box. And she can wear it and it won't be a literal pain in the neck for her to wear this, because all of the connectors, all of the metal pieces are going to be below her t-shirt line when she wears it. Yeah, I am really happy with this. I still just see Sun Devil colors when I look at this, but you know what? She grew up in Tempe too, so she might be into it. Anyway, I hope you guys are having a great weekend, and I hope that you are having fun designing for your gifts, if that's what you're doing, and keeping in mind who you're designing for and making it work for them. Thanks. Bye.